Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm John.
And we're the Geezers on the Go. This time we're at Holliday Lake State Park near Appomattox, Virginia. It has 35 sites in 2 campgrounds, all with water and electric. The lake is a fisherman's paradise, and nearby Appomattox is a history buff's paradise. Few places we've ever camped was so steeped in our country's history. This is our site here at Holliday Lake State Park in Virginia, which is outside Appomattox, where they signed the thing for the Civil War at the end of the Civil War, where South gave up. And it's a pull through, and we're at site number 20. I'll show you over here. We're number 20. But even though it's a pull through, it was a little bit of a tight turn here. You don't have a lot of room, so it took us a few times to go in and out before got settled. And it also, despite the fact that it's paved, the site was a little bit unlevel. But it's pretty cool because we're in the redbud area. There's another one called Ledgewood, and there's only 4 sites here. Us, 2 more up there pull-throughs, and this other little site at the end is a pull-through. They look like they're leaving already. I think they're trying one day and that was it. But it's warming up. It's end of April, so we're going to be off to Appomattox soon. And you walk down from the nice little bathhouse here. It's not too far of a walk down to all the trailers down here. And like I said, it's pretty cool because there's only 4 sites down here. We're in the redbud section of the campground here at Holliday Lake near Appomattox, Virginia. This is one section over here. And we come down the hill, and we're in this little finger area where there's only 4 campsites. So we're the 3rd one down at the end. Actually, I guess there's our 3 outs at the end, and then there's one other one at a pull-through all the way at the bottom. Well, it's Sunday here at Holliday Lake State Park in Virginia, and all the weekend warriors are gone in our section, and we're the only ones left. We're all by ourselves. Most of the other people have left up in the upper hill. I think there's only 1 person left over on the other side of Redbud, but pretty much we got the park to ourselves. Just a little bit above the campground is this area on the top of the hill, which is a little amphitheater, I'm told, where they do some talks and things. There's picnic tables and a little stage and some chairs. Don't know exactly what they have here, but it's a pretty setting. Lots of trees. And right near the entrance is just above there on that paved road. In the park here, they have these different kiosks, sort of, and you get a little guide, and each one has a little, what they call a mosaic, and then you go and you figure out things and ask you questions about the different kiosks, and there's about the different insects and birds in the park. Let's see if we find any more. Here's another one of those. It's sort of, I think, supposed to be a pollination garden, although none of the flowers are here right now. And it says that. And then there is a bird bath and a couple of feeders, but they don't have anything in it right now. I think they should. It's end of April. There should be birds and things coming through. And then I guess you can sit here, have lunch, and watch the birds and butterflies come through. There's a few more of the mosaics. One more over here corresponds to the little paper, and this is maybe lizards hang out in this section, maybe in the little rocky area right there. This is a kind of a quirky campground here. It's in like 3 little different sections, and even though it's paved, a lot of the sites aren't very even.
You'll find you'll have a tough time finding a campsite, even the paved ones that are perfectly flat and level. So bring your leveling blocks and be prepared to spend a little time getting yourself level.
And some of the roads coming in here are a little narrow and lots of trees, but you'll have to be careful if somebody's coming the other direction, because the road's not very wide coming in.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about the campground itself is the little swimming beach here. Of course, we had such really hot weather here in April. We had a couple of days that were pretty close to 90 degrees.
Right, one of the few times we've ever been swimming on our
yeah, we went swimming 2 days in a row.
It's also nice about this park is they have some good trails. In fact, right behind me, there's a trail that goes down through the woods and along a creek, and eventually, if you wanted to, you could get out back to the lake.
It's getting hot though, Jill. I think we should go to the beach.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Off to the beach.
Here we are at Holliday Lake State Park, the beach. This is the lake, and we're getting our stuff ready. John's got our little wagon. It's going to be 80 degrees today, so here we are. Well, we've got our spot here on the beach, and John's going to go in for a little bit. It's a pretty cool little beach. Water's nice and clean. Has these cool things out there that you can go on. Right now, no lifeguard, maybe not till another month, maybe Memorial Day. This is still the end of April. But a big area, there's picnic tables, and lots of parking, and the bathhouse, and the playground. And John's got to get on the log.
Oh my God! Hey, got this.
Woohoo! Obviously, I was a lot better at this than John was. Ha! Neener, neener, neener. Really pretty lake. And you can have a good holiday on Holliday Lake. And then you come down here, there's a pier, so you could tie your boat up or do some fishing. Pretty good that they give you a nice dock here, so you could put your boat in. They also rent boats here. I guess you have to go up to the main check-in point because there's nobody here at the little booth. I didn't realize how big this lake is. It goes way down to there.
Holliday Lake is about 145 acres and 30 feet deep at the dam, just brimming with pan-sized sunnies, bass, and there might even be a few walleye in it.
Right across from our campsite, we're on campsite 20 in Redbud. You just have to cross this little road, and there's a trail that takes you in a variety of directions. And there's a creek down there, and I guess you could go as far as you want to different places within the park. I'm on the trail that sort of comes right out from our campsite, and there's a couple different ways you can go here. It says there's a lakeshore trail, a day use trail. There's another one, at least they're very well marked, Sanders Creek, and it says the campground's about 1/10 of a mile. But what's cool about this trail, you're along a nice little creek, but it's spring, and I don't know what exactly is blooming, but it smells so good. I don't know if it's jasmine, dogwood, or whatever. But some of these sort of pinkish flowers on this trail. I wish we had, in the old days they call it smell-o-vision. We had smell-o-vision here. You'd be able to smell, I think, some of those. You can see the pink, those pink flowers. It smells so nice. And then we have a nice little babbling brook going by. So it would be a nice little trail hike. Oh, here's another pinkish flowers here. And oh, they smell so good. There's another trail marker right here, which is good. It tells you which way to go, because I've been in other parks where you get to a fork in the road like this one, and they don't tell you where the heck you're going. And I've gone on some wild goose chases, so it gives you a pretty good guide to which way you want to go. Along the trails too, they have quite a few of these little benches, so you could come down and sit and just enjoy sitting here and listening to the little bit of waterfalls or water's going through the rocks, and it's very nice.
There goes Jill. Oh, she's cheating by holding on to that branch there. Ta-da!
Can I make it back?
Well, one way or the other, I'm assuming you will.
I don't want to get wet. Ta-da! Well, we just did a little bit of this lakeshore trail. Come back up again. And there's our trailer, and we made it.
Yeah, so just resting at the bottom of the steps so you don't fall down.
Right. One of the reasons I picked this campground, we're in near Appomattox in Virginia, and it's got a lot of history.
Yeah, when we first checked into the park, I remember the park ranger was telling us that she's originally from California.
Yeah.
And she said when she moved out here, one of the funny things was she felt like she couldn't fall down without falling on some piece of history. So.
Right. As you drive out of the park, maybe about 5 miles, you start going along the trail, or they call it the trace, where Grant met Lee at Appomattox.
Yeah, and Lee surrendered the Army of Virginia and effectively ending the war, although there were some 100,000 Confederates still in combat at the time, and took a couple of months for it to actually wind down. But that was really the end of the Confederacy.
Civil War. And all along the road, you can go into the Appomattox courthouse and the house where they signed the surrender papers, and some of the museums here, they all actually have the sword that Lee had and his outfits and all kinds of cool bits of history.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to read all about things like this, but then you get to go and see where it actually happened, and sort of take the lay of the land and get a look at some of what the buildings looked like, and the physical location of everything that was going on, and it's fascinating.
And besides going to that, if you go into town, there's a few things you can go do. There's another museum, and that's where you can go get your supplies.
Appomattox Courthouse might be one of the most famous locations in all of American history. The outpost was comprised of a few farmhouses, outbuildings, and of course the courthouse itself. But it wasn't at the courthouse that the surrender actually took place. It was over here at the McLean House where General Lee surrendered his sword to Ulysses S. Grant, officially ending the war.
You can imagine horses coming up this road carrying both General Lee and General Grant, coming up to this house in Appomattox to sign the terms of surrender at the McLean House. historic day in April 1865. This is actually the room where Grant and Lee signed the terms of surrender to end the Civil War in 1865.
We sat here, representing the South in defeat, while Grant was over there, representing the victorious North. And finally, after 4 bloody years, the war was over.
All along this Highway 24 in Appomattox, you'll find all different kind of historical sites. This one here is a Confederate cemetery.
There's 19 Confederate soldiers buried in this little cemetery, and one of them is a fellow named Jesse Hutchins, who enlisted 4 days after the war began, survived 1,454 days of service, and died in battle in the last 24 hours of the war.
Oh, gee whiz. He's buried in there. This is an area along this Appomattox Trail where Lee supposedly came down and rode his horse down in this little depression and pointed up to where his headquarters were to say that they have surrendered, and all his men gathered around him. Also, in preparation for the surrender at Appomattox, the Confederate soldiers and officers lined up all their cannons so that they could surrender all their artillery and things, and they said there were hundreds of cannons and other artillery all lined up just waiting for the end of the war. This area of Appomattox is also known for its banjos, and I've seen signs for this one black musician named Joel Walker Sweeney, who sort of revolutionized banjo playing. Boy, these people like to go fast. And said he was the personal banjo picker for Jeb Stuart. It's kind of funny. A little farther down the road is the American Civil War Museum. Here at the American Civil War Museum, there's little things in the sidewalk to tell you sort of the progression of the Civil War. This is the American Civil War Museum in Appomattox.
Strike down the institution of African slavery, and he reduced the South to depopulation and barbarism. Lawrence M. Kidd, South Carolina Bible, January 25th, 1866.
This is supposed to be the jacket and gloves that Lee wore at the signing of the surrender papers. There's some little slight controversy whether this is the exact jacket, because most of the other pictures of him show different insignias on his sleeve, but he supposedly wore his finest to surrender with Grant.
We definitely rolled out the big guns for this one, but I'm sure we'll be back. For now, we want to thank you for joining us, and, as always, we'll see you down the road.
Stop! Stop! Stop!